out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Van, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, Radford pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as the valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. Got the scoop, faster than a sprint, calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite.
Hey, good morning. How are you? It is the Monday edition of the program. Hope everybody's doing okay. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room or on the Professional Incorporated text line. Please subscribe, like, and share our channel. It costs absolutely nothing, and it really helps out the cause here. Like our daily content. It's a Reaction Monday here on the program. We'll talk to the coaches, Phil Elmassian and Todd Grantham, a little later on. There you go. And I hope everybody had a good weekend. It was a very emotional weekend down at Radford. We'll get into all that. Virginia Tech basketball loses down at Carolina. Ramifications the same. They have to do some stuff in the tournament. Beating Virginia would help. Morning, Al. Good morning, Chris Lester. How are you, brother? Good morning, TLB. What's up, Morris from the Floyd County store where the Buffalo Boys champion shop? I love the Floyd County store. The Palm Coast where we witnessed the Hokies basketball flop. BDST's live and online. You rhymer, you. I do. The Floyd County store is really, really nice. It's always just fun to go in there. I don't know. I always just pretend like I'm in an episode of the Andy Griffith Show when I'm in the Floyd County store. Big Al, what's up? I saw a TikTok video of the last play of the Radford baseball game Friday. Heard your call. Almost as good as the young man. The man's fake. Well, I just want to say we got a lot of play on that. The call, it was on the Sports Center play of the day that night, and it's all about Joey Rakuya and that team. Made that call through some tears. The rally started with 2 out, and every little thing happened. Something divine happened on that field, and people can roll their eyes if they want, but that was different how we rallied in that game. That was Joey helping us out. It was very emotional. What I liked about the whole thing was all the tributes the other baseball clubs throughout the country were paying. There were at least 24 tributes just being paid by other baseball teams, TCU, Stanford, Arkansas. I mean, just paying tribute to somebody they didn't even know. It's very nice, Morris. Thank you. Thank you. So we were all ill prepared to go in there on Friday and have a baseball game. I told this story Friday morning, but the guys had voted on Thursday after their counseling session that they wanted to play, and Bryant was just waiting word. And by the way, I thanked them several times yesterday. The Bryant University Bulldogs, their administration, that team, those coaches, they were outstanding through the whole weekend as well. And they won the series. But I wasn't really measuring wins and losses this weekend. It was just about getting through it and what it meant. And then, after the game yesterday, we stayed on a little longer, and it was almost like an old Little League feel, Both teams lined up, and it was like a hockey game, at the end of a hockey. Every player for Bryant and Radford embraced, and every player said something to the other. Like you could tell it was just like we shared something here today, and nobody will ever forget it. This weekend, nobody will ever forget it. What was great about yesterday, on Friday, they weren't able to do the entire family, especially Joey's grandmother. I believe it's his only grandparent who's still with us, couldn't make it. So she didn't make it in until late Saturday. So yesterday we did the introduction of Joey Rakuya as the second baseman. And our pitcher let the pitch clock run out, which would have been an automatic ball. And, of course, Bryant declined it. And then Alex Guerra, the manager, came out and made the replacement. It was announced over the PA. And when he was announced as a starter, it was very emotional. All the family was there, lots of his friends from Radford High School. So as disgusted as I am and as we all are with college athletics, and really it feels like the inevitable collapse is coming. Things like yesterday remind us what sports can bring. It's why I think a large part of why we don't let go. The sports setting, the sporting session in that ballpark, it was very special. And it was beautiful all weekend. I mean, it wasn't a coincidence either. Sunny all 3 days. But tonight is the memorial service this evening. We're going to have it in the Dedman Center per family's request. There'll be visitation, which is what I'll go to see Joe again. I saw him briefly on Friday, and, I won't get into what was said, but it was just see him like that and just try to put yourself in that mind as a parent. I've known him a long, long time. He's a dear friend. He was a heck of a coach. He now works in the Royals organization as a scout. He was out in Arizona at spring training when all that happened. So 4 to 6 for the visitation, and 6 to 8, 6 to 7 is the actual service tonight for Joey in the Dedman Center. But again, anybody associated with that school in Rhode Island, Bryant, thank you. Just terrific. Absolutely terrific. Awesome. Just awesome. By the way, I mentioned this. Yeah, I did, didn't I? I mentioned this last week. Did I not? I think I did. We've been, looking for new sponsors and things of that nature. And we have one. Sundown Electric. We welcome them to the program starting today. There's their cool logo. Boom. Look at that. I like that. And we thank all those folks at Sundown. They have an excellent reputation and long list of satisfied clients. And they attest to their superior craftsmanship. Where did it go? I don't want 10 seconds on there. I want it to be a rolling banner. No, hang on. We're going to fix this here. Yeah, scroll across. There we go. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing here. Save. Let's see if it'll scroll now. I'm trying to get it to scroll. But anyway, they are terrific. They have a great reputation. The brothers continued what their father did. And that's what's really cool about it. So thanks to all the folks at Sundown Atlantic. Jeff Smith, thanks for joining us. Sundown Electric, located in Elliston, I believe. We'll have to figure out how to get their scroll working here. Sometimes all of these things don't necessarily work the way that you want them to. And I don't understand why. I'm going to see if that'll work. There we go. Now we got it. I paid too much for this studio for it to not work. But thank you to Sundown Electric for joining us here on the program. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Let's get into those right now. The Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com, Bob Christ, BOBCRIST11 at Gmail. Let your organization, your team, really quickly earn the money they need through a series of text messages. Thanks to Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors, family owned and operated. Thanks so much to Travis. Speaking of keeping the family business going. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. To quote Mike Jones, our former basketball coach. National Bank member FDIC. Thanks to Larry Ramsey, the exclusive banking partner of this program. Yours truly. 35 years. They're the best. Appreciate their magnanimous support. Well, look at that. I pulled out the word magnanimous here on a Monday. Huh? That's very impressive, isn't it? The Attorney Ryan Pryor, BDST Fan Question of the Week, brought to you by the Attorney Ryan Pryor. The name's so nice, we say it twice. 701 West Main Street, Trusted Estate Planning. We'll come up with a question. I don't really have one right now. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. Charles Lee, get ready to segue into the warm weather, so make sure your air conditioners are good to go. Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Experience Pulaski County, Virginia. Stacy Compton going to be on here soon. He's going to be in charge of everything that they're doing with the IHRA. How about Tyler Reddick? He's won the first 3 NASCAR races. That's never been done before. I don't really follow it anymore, but that's pretty damn cool. McClellan Chiropractic, Mark Hunley over in Christiansburg, getting closer and closer to the back popping. Radford's regular season is over. The tournament starts this coming weekend. And Family Fencing, thanks to Jason Green. Every time I put up the fancy fencing logo, Wayne from Ohio says that I look like Bane from the Batman movies. We would like to thank Family Fencing. That's just an impromptu Bane. I know it's terrible. But let Jason come out. The ground's thawed out. They can come now and they can start getting you going. Now's the time to get excited about Family Fencing, man. Tell you, warmer weather, it's here. And if you haven't seen him in a while, there's Bigfoot. There's Patty. All right, let's oh my gosh, Virginia Tech. Let's get, what in the world are they doing with their uniforms? Why are you just, come on, there can't be anybody who actually sat there and was glad they wore that. Black and gray again. You know you're going to be on national TV and you don't even wear your school colors. Those look so bad. And that big VT really stands out how bad it looks on the black uniform. It was the black uniform curse. Why in the world is that the choice of so many Tech programs? Get ready. Football's got one coming too. Yay. Yay. So you're right, Al. It's just terrible, terrible look. Morris says, I got so disgusted watching Tech game. Cut it off with 5 minutes left. Abdallas is a first-round pick. Are you kidding me? He did lead them in scoring, but yeah. From what I saw, he's still kind of he's pushing it a little bit, yeah. And I got to give credit to UNC. They haven't had their superstar. I think what are they now? 3-1 without him. They won 3 in a row. Michael Jordan still wins. That's right. They were interviewing Jordan, weren't they? I saw that. Jordan was walking away, and he's like, hey, I've won the first 3 races for the first time in NASCAR history. Here you go, Morris. Sundown Electric did the wiring of my original house in Newport. They used to be in Snowville. Did an awesome job. See there in testimony for you, Jeff, right off the bat. Yeah, and that was probably when you were working with his dad, and the brothers have taken it, much like Travis Williams has done with Professional Door. That's what I love kind of sponsorships that we have. Anybody wants to help us out, please do so. We need to get a push for 1,000 subscribers. We need to subscribe, like, and share. Now more than ever. We got to go on a big push over the next couple months. Yeah, all the football coaches wearing black. That's an intentional tease of what's coming, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The black unis are inevitable for the football team again. It's been a while. And, don't ever let a school gaslight you by saying it's for recruiting, because recruiting is all about one color. The only color that matters in recruiting now is green, as in what color the money is. So you're not trying to lure kids by saying, hey, we're going to go with a special black uniform. There can't be any true Tech fan that saw what Tech had on Saturday night and thought, yeah, there's a good look. Yeah, look at that. No maroon and orange anywhere. Look at that black and gray. What in the holy hell? I've never seen a school hate their colors more than Virginia Tech. Softball wears black all the time. Baseball. But they didn't play badly. They had a lead for a while. So I agree with Prometheus. Carolina just made plays in the second half and won the game. So Tech's now got BC and Virginia. And how about Duke? Boy, Duke made a statement, didn't they? Woo! I'm telling you, you know what? I'm no Duke fan, but I think they're going to win the Natty. I really do. And yes, magnanimous is a fitting word. Gregarious. Yeah, I could use that too. It looks like to me Duke's the best team in the country. They've already beaten Michigan. They just look like they have that Boozer and company. They look really good. It's going to be a hard out. A very, very hard out. Elmassian, Todd Grantham, by the way, later on today. Well, it was a game that, that would really help them. And I don't know, I'm not even going to try to pretend to figure out the hideous qualifications that teams need anymore. I'm really not. I don't know. You see all this stuff, Lenardi and all these people that go out there. First 4 out. But let's see. Tech was 9 of 23 from 3. They made all their free throws. They shot 50%, and they only turned it over 9 times. But the difference, and this happened to Radford too, Carolina. I mean, I'm not saying this is why they lost, but and they earned it from what I saw. This wasn't officiating that was one-sided, but they were getting the ball down late. Tech could not stop their big guy. 23 of 30 from the line. Tech was 11 of 11. Visar was – didn't somebody say at one point he made like 8 straight baskets or 5 straight baskets or something like that? 11 out of 20, 26 points. Trimble with 20. So Prometheus, I think, had it right. Tech didn't play badly at all. They didn't. I mean, Tech looked the part, at least with the way they played, not with what they were wearing. But Carolina was really good. And Visar is a really good player. They paid him a lot of money. He got multiple millions. Carolina has a very, very high-priced roster, okay? The most highly paid player is out, and we don't know whether he'll be back for the tournament or not. They're good. That's right, Matthew. Shire has a talent. He's a good coach. He is. He just needs to keep his mouth shut about making up stories about things that happen after games when they get upset. He is a good coach. We've talked about it a lot here on the program. He's done a great job following Krzyzewski. And I think it probably had to be a former player, a guy who understood him, than just somebody coming in from somewhere. And then I think it probably wouldn't have worked. So it wasn't at all a performance that, makes you go, what's going on with Tech? They played well. Carolina was just better. I think that's the right assessment. Sometimes, as much as fans hate to do it, you just have to tip your hat to the other team. I mean, and that's what happened on Saturday night, in my opinion. And you can let me know what you think overall. Let's see. I'm going to make sure I have the schedule right here. BC on Tuesday. That's tomorrow. Oh, boy, the 9 o'clock game on ESPNU in Blacksburg. Yay! That's just so convenient for everybody. And then noon on Saturday at UVA, and then you get into the tournament. So you're probably looking at 19-12 going into the ACC tournament. And then Keep an eye on what else is going on in all those other conference tournaments. Are there going to be upsets for teams that have the automatic bid? And then, let's keep an eye out for that. Maybe Young can make the CBI tournament at Daytona Beach. Hey, we played in that. I will take him some single malt whiskey and after the tournament help him drown his sorrows of a misspent season. Radford played in that. Yeah. The CBI. We won the thing. We won our bracket. Yeah. Sure did. It's a interesting place, Daytona Beach. Morris, Yeah, we played down in that. Was that Darius's second year? I think it was Darius's second or third year. Maybe in his third year. We played in the CBI down in Daytona Beach. Really cool. The hotel's right across the road, so you just have to walk right to the game. You don't have to worry about anything. You're 20 minutes away. Okay. Well, if we're down there, Morris, guess what? Guess where I'm crashing? Hey, guys, I don't need a room. I'm going to be staying in the Palm Coast. Totally hammered every day with Morris. Thanks, everybody on the text line. I got several texts about the situation in Radford. And for me, I was just glad. The thing I was glad about, the fact that we got national exposure and we were all over Sports Center, I was just glad for the memory of Joey. And I was glad for the players. That was important. I don't care about my call being on there, but it was cool to see the outpouring of countless messages on X from people I've never heard from. So it was cool. It was cool. Tonight will kind of be some closure, I think, for a lot of people. And then the baseball team, it works out great for them because they leave for a 2-game series in Morgantown tomorrow. So they can get out and do their thing. Not a great weekend indeed. Yeah. Michael sent a text. What's going on with Tech Baseball? Well, Tech Baseball finally played good teams. I mean, let's just say it the way it is. They didn't win it all this weekend. They were in a tough tournament with some of the best teams in the country. It's a good test for them. But really, they hadn't tested themselves very much. So you get in there against teams that are nationally ranked and are really good, and some of those teams are funded. Every SEC baseball team is funded, by the way. Little known fact. It is. So Mississippi State's really good. UCLA was good. Tech didn't play UCLA, but they played A&M, who's really good. So it'll make them better. Playing good competition makes you better, so I was glad to see they did that. And the ACC is a tough league. It's a tough baseball league, so we'll see what happens over there. So we'll see. Well, they take baseball seriously enough to pay their coach $700,000, which blows my mind for a baseball coach. But, yeah, that program has kind of grown stagnant a little bit, hasn't it? A little bit. Just a little. So we got a little blast of cold today. I love it. I love when people are asking me for the weather. It's great. So today the high is 42. It's going to be cloudy, a little bit of rain later on. But then tomorrow it's 60. 70 on Wednesday. Might we be done with this? And then every day after tomorrow, we're pushing 70 or more degrees, according to the weather folk. And that will be wonderful. If that is indeed the case, that will be wonderful. So, yes, let the sunshine rain down. Let the warmer temperatures get here for good. Let us wave the bird to winter and all the remnants that are still around in the big piles in the parking lots of department stores and grocery stores and baseball stadiums. But what if the rain freezes, Rick? I don't think the rain's going to freeze. If it's going to be 40 plus, the rain won't freeze. Yeah, we mentioned that. 3 straight wins for Tyler Reddick. I'd never really even heard the name Tyler Reddick before until this year. And, Jordan, probably all he does is, supply money for the team. But he's always been a NASCAR fan growing up where he grew up. But that's pretty cool. Dude wins the first 3 races now. Well, I mean, that's pretty cool. Now will he intentionally start being wrecked? I was a little surprised to see that had never happened. I mean, it makes sense. I know Jeff Gordon won the first 2 races, I think, one time. But wouldn't you figure at some point before it got modernized, somebody like Richard Petty would have won the first 3 races or something? Fireball Roberts. I've watched 0 laps, except for the highlights at the end of Daytona. But good for Tyler Reddick. And NASCAR needs that. They need to play on Jordan and try to take advantage of that as much as the NBA did while he was there. Yeah, there you go. MJ said that. He just supplies the money. But yeah, he knows. He let the people. That's why he's smart. Here's the money. I'm a billionaire many times over. What do you need? All right, I want to buy this team. We're going to here, bring in the best people. And he stays the hell out of the way. I think that's great. Meanwhile, I've seen probably a dozen headline articles that are writing that if the Lakers want to be serious about basketball again, they have to cut LeBron. But yeah, he's the greatest. Situation with Luka, JJ Redick off the rail. That place, the Lakers are a mess, and it has to do with LeBron. Good stuff, though. Good stuff, though. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel. We got to get to 1,000. We had a few jump on this weekend. So help us out. I'm now, by the way, at the end of every show, I'm letting this studio that I pay a lot of money for do more things because it needs to. So it's going to create generated clips through AI. So what I'm going to do is, it's the actual show, but AI puts it together. So I'm going to post those up on our BDST YouTube page, just little clips about what we talk about. So in other words, just little shorts that you can go back and you can watch. And if you would share those, that would be wonderful. Post them. Like if there's a good segment that you like, post them. That'd be awesome. Wow. Did he really say that? Reddick said Bronny James is going to be better than Cooper Flag. God. Wow. The NBA is lost. It is completely lost. It's out in the wilderness looking for water to put in its canteen, and there's absolutely nothing but sand. It's going to wander aimlessly around. It'll blame the sun. It'll blame the sand and the environment. It won't look inside to itself to see exactly what the problem may be and what lies inside. No, they will blame everything else. But the NBA is completely and utterly lost. And it's really sad to see. I loved the NBA. I mean, it was must-see watching. It was, along with the NFL, even really at the time, more than baseball. It was really something I got into, early 80s especially, coming out of the Magic and Larry Bird, 1979 title game, Lakers, Celtics, Moses Malone for me is a Rockets guy. He's the reason I started rooting for the Rockets. And now I couldn't care less. And David Stern had a vision. And then this guy Jordan came along and all the great players that came shortly thereafter. And then you got into the 90s and the Bad Boys and the Bulls. Man, it was so good. And then you turned it over to the early 2000s. And there's Shaq, Kobe. And then here comes LeBron. And at that time, he, didn't know much about him other than he was hyped up to be this greatest thing. And that league has just, under Adam Silver, has completely and utterly lost, for me, every bit of attractiveness that it ever had. I won't watch any of the playoffs. I don't care about the finals. None of it matters to me. If you like it, that's your choice. That's great. Good for you. But I can't imagine sitting down and investing 2 hours watching an NBA game here in 2026. I don't think there's one player playing today, and this is part of the problem, where you think, ooh, I have got to watch this game because this guy's playing. Tell me one. Is it washed up 42-year-old LeBron? No. Is it Wembayamba? No. I mean, I like Ant-Man, but I don't have to watch him play. Nikola Jokic, Luka, Cooper Flagg. Who's the kid that won the MVP for OKC? They won the title last year. There's nobody there. Because nobody plays defense, and they can score at will, and nobody has to earn anything. Yeah, the dunk contests were great. The three-point shooting contest, I love those more than the dunk contests. Guys cared about the All-Star game. Took a lot of pride. Couldn't wait for the Celtics-Lakers finals. Dick Stockton on CBS. Just awesome. That's a great, Prometheus, exactly. And then if you go, you spend just way too much money to watch one of these crappy games. Oh, by the way, it's load management time. It's a bad league. It's a bad product. But again, much like the NFL, they probably don't care right now because for some reason they were able to swindle all those media partners into that whatever billion-dollar contract it ended up being totality when it's all said and done. It's just insane numbers. And why anybody would pay for that product surprises me a lot. It really does. And now you have what? As Keon tells us, right? And there's no bigger fan of the NBA than Keon, who I got to see Saturday at Longwood. There's no bigger fan of the NBA than him, but it's like you got to go to 5 different places just to watch a game during the week. They got rid of their national presence. You let ESPN get involved. It's not the same watching Charles Barkley and those guys. It's not. They've lost their edge. ESPN ruins everything. It's a bad league. It's a bad league. Young kids will, I guess, continue to be drawn to it, but do they have the income to sustain it? And every clip I see on X is because of some controversy. Like now the thing with Luka, who seems to be so disinterested. He went after Redick last night, apparently. Guys getting in fight, the Jokic thing the other day. That's what you see from the NBA. Nobody's showing the game. A great play here or something. Nah. They showed the altercation between Draymond Green and Steph Curry, right? It's like that's what's getting highlighted now whenever you see anything come on X for the NBA. I mean, you tell me if you watch it, who's a guy you say, you know what, I'm going to turn the TV on and watch. Wembayama's what, 7-1? Is that what he is? I think the one thing that made another thing other than his professionalism and his unbelievable skill was the fact that Jordan, you know, he looked like us in terms of he wasn't way too tall. He wasn't like this. He was just so good. If I see a guy 7 feet, yeah, he's supposed to be good. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the best center to ever play the game, and there are a lot of people that don't give him any credit whatsoever because he was so tall. It's stupid. Yeah, they don't call walking. They don't call anything. Lots of things get unchecked. And by the way, they still have this gambling thing that happened right at the beginning of the season. Where did that go? Is anybody paying attention to that? Where's the whole gambling thing? They just get swept under the rug. Guys admitted they shaved points through games. I've never understood ducking. What's so thrilling about a 7-foot-tall player? Exactly. I've never thought, I mean, there's some dunks that are cool, but I've never been like, oh, wow, he posterized him. I'd rather see a guy, play the game. I mean, good morning, Opal. How are you? Good to see you. Now, there are dunks in the process of college basketball games when you see a guy go up and tomahawk one over a double team or something. It kind of changes momentum. Those are cool. Yeah, somebody alley-oops to some guy who's 6'10" and can jump out of the gym and he slams it. Okay. Shouldn't he be able to do that? That's true, Patrick. Thank you on the text line. Yeah, NBA became a highlight league, and that's all they cared about was showing highlights instead of the game itself. Well, now the highlights are coaches, players getting into it, teammates getting into it. Nikola Jokic dispensing justice when somebody tripped him the other night. And the way they market themselves, it's almost like the league hates itself in a lot of ways. It feels like that. And think about it, if you watch Barkley, he can't stand the league. He knows it's a bad product. He says it all the time. But in any event, is there anyone worse for any league than Draymond Green? No. The fights are, Opal says the fights are her favorite part of any sport. Okay. Me what, Christopher? I just see you. I don't know what that means. I want the league to be good. I want it to be I wanted it. You always want it to come back to how you feel, how you felt growing up. Baseball is the same way. They outline what the salary cap looks like it might look like for baseball, and you can tell this thing's going to it's going to be dug in. Nah, that's not fair, Chris. Nah. You can't try to pigeonhole somebody because they don't like something. I don't think that has anything to do with it. You either like something or you don't like something. You know? And I think it's, if you do like it, that's fine. If you like the league and you like the way it's going, more power to you. But when the players don't care about the product other than their lifestyle, when they want to take 17 games off, is that what it is? I mean, they pushed for load management so they could they changed the rules for the MVP that you can play a minimum of 65 games and still be eligible for the MVP because they knew guys were going to take that many nights off. It's just ridiculous. And who was I talking to over the weekend? I was talking to Sam at Longwood. He was saying, well, the season's too long. And I'm like, wait a minute. The season's been 82 games for as long as I can remember. No one ever said the season was too long during the 80s, 90s, and the 2000 to 2010 era. If a sport is good, nobody ever says it's too long. If a sport is enjoyable, the only time they ever say it's too long is when it's not being well received anymore and the product sucks. I'm going to go get Creed. Hang on. He's been out. He's the man. Hang on. He's probably going, it's colder today. It shouldn't be colder today. True, Rick. Like it or not, like Panera Bread for lunch or listening to Dave Matthews' Greatest Hits. Did he have Greatest Hits? Yeah, we loved it in the 90s, yeah. It's okay to admit that the product sucks now. People don't have to be apologists for a bad sports product. It's okay. And the majority of folks agree with me because the ratings are always at an all-time low. They just had their lowest ratings ever during their Christmas Day takeover. The finals won't be watched. Wayne says, so I asked my boss for load management and time off, and he said you can take a load salary off as well as getting no salary. College basketball is suffering from it a little bit too. But it's still, to me, much more enjoyable to watch a college basketball game. But I guess the question would be, coaches used to have total control in college basketball, college football, like total control. So now that the pendulum has swung, has it swung too far? I don't mind the players not being so controlled, i.e. Krzyzewski and Bobby Knight, Coach Wooden, Dean Smith, whoever it might be. But did the pendulum swing too far now that the coaches can't actually be coaches? What's up, Knicks fan? No traditional big man slowing the pace of play anymore, and the game is faster. That's why it's so many more points. Yeah, defenses is not allowed. Yeah, And they have no interest either. Guys that have no interest in playing defense. And a lot of these guys share the same agents, too. That's happened in a lot of sports. That's not just an NBA problem. Oh, yeah. NFL, baseball, you share the same agency, man, and you're there in the building during the off season. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard that all of a sudden that guy's my enemy. Go out with the agent, talk about the new marketing deals you've signed and so forth. But we're going to go out there and compete against one another. Well. But thanks to everybody on the text line. Appreciate it. Still getting a lot of reaction from Jen. Jen's appearance with the Fighting Cock bourbon bottle. I won't add to that. That's right. That was what, the 1980 title game, right? Was that that's when, or 81? That's when President Reagan got shot the day of. And he called in. They weren't going to play the game. And he called in and said, play the game. I want to watch from a hospital room. That's cool. I think I have that right. Isn't that right? I think that's right. Pretty sure that's right. But anyway, it is what it is. They won't make any changes. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter really, because there's not going to be any changes made to any of these leagues because they're raking in the dough. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. As long as they're raking in the dough, they really don't care. What's up, buddy? Here you go. Hang on. It's been a while. Come here. There we go. There's that guy. See him? See him? There's the mascot of the show right there. Total badass right there. He knows it. I know it. The American people know it. And he knows that critters are coming back in because it's getting warmer. Big Dog Sports Talk. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I love the game too, Chris. That's why I don't like the NBA. I love basketball. That's why I don't like the NBA. Because it's not. I think Knicks fan hit it on the head. And Keon says it all the time. I mean, it was inside-out basketball, post players, guard. I mean, working the ball. And now bigs don't get much of an opportunity, as much of an opportunity, unless they're guys who can run, like Wembayamba. Jokic is kind of a throwback guy, thank goodness, but he shoots a lot of threes. The European-style post play has kind of made its impact in the game since they became so prominent in the 90s. Right? I mean, let's talk about that part of it, too. Those bigs in Europe are more comfortable, a lot of them, shooting the ball deep than they are beating the crap out of each other down low trying to work for buckets. So that has also influenced the game, right? I hear coaches, college coaches all around say when they get European big guys, they have to kind of teach them how to play like big guys because a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't. So that's also kind of been a trend. But the days of having Shaq and Hakeem, and I mean, who are the dominant? Who's the true centers that still play that way? Is Jokic? I mean, I'm thinking of Jokic. Do we have guys like that anymore? I mean, I don't know. Example. Yeah, he seldom comes by. You know, I could tell he wanted to be picked up, so I'll throw him on the camera. Been a while since people saw him. He's a good boy. NBA should get rid of the dunk contest. Absolutely. There wasn't anything. And the guys who were winning the dunk contest was nothing. Yeah. How many dunks can be done? That's a great point. So watered down. Well, and that's right, Prometheus. And a lot of people are saying this. A lot of college coaches. Seth, as much as Steph Curry, as good as he is, and he's a Hall of Famer, he kind of ruined the game a little bit because so many guys now are growing up trying to be Steph Curry. They're not trying to do anything but be Steph Curry, which is bring it down, shoot 25-foot threes. Don't worry about if anybody's underneath the rebound. Traditional big win Brandon says big men in basketball are like unicorns, mythical and don't exist. I'm glad you didn't say like Bigfoot. We can come after you this morning, Brandon, because Patty says, you know what? I existed. There I am. And I guess it's one of the many reasons football continues to be the national pastime. There you go. Hey, Brandon, no. Hey. March 30th, 1981. Okay, it was 81. What was the 80-81 season? Okay. Indiana won. Reagan got shot. Hijacking of the flight. Yeah, Reagan called, right? If I'm not mistaken, they were not going to play. And he said, play on. Just got out of surgery. I want to watch the game because he was a massive sports fan. That's pretty cool. Phil Elmassian going to join us here in just a little bit. We'll catch up with Coach Elmo. There you go. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Family Fencing. Thanks to Lawson's Mobile Home Supply over on 300 North Franklin Street. Thanks to the NRV Super Bowl. Give them a call at 540-382-5525. I've had people say they've been going over there because we've talked about it, spending the weekend, the late night with some of their buds. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, thanks to him. Professional Door Incorporated, thanks to Travis Williams. Text line 540-391-0788. Now, see, now Creed wants back out because he sees something out there he wants to go get. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thanks to those folks. Little River Heating and Air, Charles Lee, 540-553-2971. The attorney, Ryan Pryor, BDST Fan Question of the Week, 701 West Main Street in Radford. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of this show and of my own personal banking habits. Professional Door Incorporated, I mentioned them with Travis. Ready, Set Fund with Bob Chris, ReadySetFund.com. And today we welcome in Sundown Electric. They have an excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients, and they attest to the superior craftsmanship, attention to detail, the communication, honesty, and integrity. We are very excited to add Sundown Electric to our list of magnanimous sponsors, and there's their logo, which I think is really cool. See, that's the sun setting down over your home, Sundown Electric. Isn't that clever? See how that works? So thanks to all those folks. Joining us now on the program is that gentleman. He has the coolest logo ever. He's wearing a UAB Blazers t-shirt. Look at you, Coach. What's up, Elmo?
Finally got paid.
I love it.
Hey,
I love
if my buddy always said, if it's free, take two.
it.
I told Todd, I go, yeah, I'll be glad to advertise for you.
That was great. You took the picture. You said, "Hey, I'm still employed. I've got gear now."
Still employed.
It is a cool logo, isn't it? Yeah, that's nice.
It really is.
I got a hoodie too. I came back from Longwood Saturday night, and there was a box at my front door, and Todd sent me a UAB hoodie, so I have to bring that out.
Great.
Yeah, pretty good. But
great.
I don't get invited to spring football like you do, though. You're going to be down there during the spring, though, so it does look like Godzilla. Yeah.
You know, I got a call from another buddy of mine at New Mexico, Spence Nowinski. He's the D coordinator. He was a GA for us at Wisconsin when we went to the Rose Bowl 2000. And I hired him at Illinois State as a D-line coach. I said hi, but the head coach was Brock Speck. He's still the head coach now at Illinois State. Former D coordinator, Purdue, got a chance to work for him. And so this gentleman, Spence Nowinski, D-line coach, when I left and went back to Purdue, Brock named him the D coordinator. And he's been a D coordinator at Ohio U, Miami of Ohio, Memphis, and now he's at New Mexico with head football coach who had played for us at Wisconsin, Jason Eck, was an offensive lineman. And he was another gentleman that asked me to look at some portal kids. And so he called me up and he said, hey, we want to have you down clinic and clinic the staff and things of that nature. So I'm real excited about that. Get to take one more swing at this thing. Maybe I could help somebody. Who knows?
No, I think that's great. And it has to be a wonderful feeling for you, Coach. I mean, you've earned it. You've earned it. Now you're a humble guy. You don't take that credit, but you have. And it has to just make you feel terrific to know that even after all this time and all the players you've helped and you've coached, that you're still, that kind of thing still matters. What you bring to the table still matters, right, to coaching, which is great.
Yeah, the biggest issue that I hear from people that are still in the business that I had worked with in my latter stages, a lot of them are really miserable. I mean, it's a love-hate. You know, they love what they're doing and they hate the circumstances surrounding what they're doing. And the young coaches, they're really brighter, smarter, there's more information, accessibility to the game. But some of the principles have been lost about coaching the game and teaching the game and being a good teacher in terms of especially evaluating. A lot of them are chasing the money. The money's so big now. They're chasing the money. And so I get called to go visit places to actually help educate some of these young coaches the things in the game that will never change. And when you look at winning programs, I don't care if it was 20 years ago, 40 years ago, this coming year, those principles, like Brian White in his book, The Locker Room's Not for Sale, which I'm starting to read. I finally got a copy of it. And the principles involved of winning, how to win is never changes. It does not change. I don't care how much money you got. It doesn't matter. Once you can buy a football team all you want now. When you're in that locker room, you get between the stripes. You got to teach a game. You got to earn trust. You have to go out and earn trust, and find people who are committed and really care about each other. Those things are not changing. And by the way, I appreciate you sending me that call of the game Saturday, the baseball game.
Oh, from Friday night? Yeah.
I really appreciate that, Rick. And here's one thing I'll tell you. First of all, you don't give yourself enough credit, but I'm going to tell you that'll really echo to the families and the players. It speaks volumes of the human spirit that game and how you presented it also, which was very genuine as I look at it. I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. I don't have to do that. You don't pay me enough to do that.
I'll send you a BDST t-shirt to do that.
Hey, like I said, if it's free, take two. I'll take two of them.
All right.
But no, it was a great testament. Just the coaches and the players and people involved, the community, the school, because it did. It was bigger than the game.
Yep.
There was a great win for the moment that really was greater than the game itself. And you asked me if I'd ever been involved in anything like that. I remember as we talked on the phone.
Yeah.
And I said I have, and not to deflect.
No, it was a good story. Yeah, and I didn't think about that. This is you were directly involved in one of the worst tragedies in the history of college athletics.
Yeah, and I could just feel the empathy, sympathy, empathy for the families, the parents, and the players on that baseball team. I've been through it, and I understood it, and it's not easy. It's hard. It's very hard. You lose friendships, people that were so young and had a whole life of opportunities ahead of themselves. I was at Ferrum playing as going into my sophomore year in November 14th. That was the date, 1970. We were coming back from playing Baltimore Community College. We take a bus. We called it the Golden Goose. It was a school bus. We traveled in a school bus back in the day, and they paid it because we're black and gold, so we called it the Golden Goose. And we drove that sucker to Baltimore. And, we're driving back, and I'll never forget us. It was foggy, even in the game. It was foggy, and that whole East Coast was socked in with bad weather. And we were coming in, and we finally got into Rocky Mount. Very late in the evening, and one of the sheriff's department people saw our bus and pulled it over and told Coach Norton about the crash, because we had 6 former Ferrum players that were involved on the Marshall in the plane crash that were on the 68 team. There were 3 of them from 68, and then the 69 team, which when I was a freshman, there were 3 players. Tom Zaboral, Bob Patterson, Art Shannon. Those are the 3 players I played with. And man, I'll tell you, it was just, you talk about ripping your heart out. So I could really appreciate what the community, the families, and the players were going through, because it was absolutely devastating to the community of Marshall. I got to coach here for a year. You just didn't lose players. You lost a community. There were, supporters on the plane. Rick Tolley was the head football coach, former Virginia Tech player. Coach Norton hired him. He coached at Ferrum for 3 years. They won a national championship. And he left Ferrum, went to Wake Forest, and then he got up to Marshall as an assistant coach. And in 1969, they named him the interim coach because they had so many it was like 80 broken rule sanctions, and it was a disaster mess. And Dr. Don Dedman, yep. Where the building where you work.
Our namesake at the Dedman Center, that's right.
Exactly. Yeah. He's, Coach Norton's dad was an attorney in Huntington, and his brother Frank was an insurance salesman in Huntington. They're prominent families in Huntington. And in July of 70, Rick was the interim coach in 69, but Dr. Dedman called Coach Norton and offered him the job to come coach at Marshall. And he, I was playing. I was a sophomore, and this speaks volumes for Coach Norton. I mean, junior college football was not easy. It's a tough life. It was a tough life.
No,
coaching, a lot of bus trips, a lot of ham and cheese sandwiches.
Yeah, I bet that was tough. Yeah.
And no scholarships, but his dad called up. He talked to his dad. And his dad told him, said, "Do not take this job. It's so political." He literally talked him out of taking the job. And but the biggest reason he didn't take it, he didn't want to leave us as players. He really did not. I worked for him for 4 years, so I'm sharing stories, not stories. I'm sharing facts. What happened. So he turned it down, but he told Dr. Dedman, he goes, "Hey, hire Rick. He's on your staff. He's clean. He's a great coach. Give him the job." And this is in July, and so they decided to give Rick Tolley the job.
That's cool.
And he really, and there were 6 Fairham players on the team, and they started to make great improvements in terms of, and so he wanted to reward the team by flying to Greenville to play East Carolina as a reward. And he and Coach Norton talked about, preparations to fly and things and all that stuff. And then, when they were coming back to that airport, most of those airports in West Virginia built on a mountaintop that had been cut down. And I'll never forget it. I don't know how they even begin to think about flying in that weather, because even in the bus trip, you couldn't see 3 feet in front of you coming back, bussing back.
Sure.
Going down, coming from 81 down to back to Fairham. So it was something I'll never forget, but it was great. Red Dawson, the assistant coach that survived the trip. I'm sure you've seen many documentaries on it.
Yes, I have.
And Rick we had a player at Fairham named Billy Joe Mantooth. How about that name?
Oh, I love that. Billy Joe Mantooth.
Billy Joe Mantooth.
Yeah.
But listen, here's the best one, Rick, from Big Chimney, West Virginia.
He had to be a hell of a player, Coach. There's no
doubt.
Come on.
He was a middle linebacker, and he was really about half nuts on the football field.
That's a great name. Wow.
Billy Joe Mantooth from Big Chimney, West Virginia. We were both sophomores, and he was being heavily recruited, and Bobby Bowden was the head coach at West Virginia, and he's recruiting him. And Coach Norton, of course, with Coach Tolley, he was trying to help. Coach never told kids where to go, but if he liked coaches, he'd try to help them, try to get them to the visit set part of it, not necessarily tell them where to go. He never got involved in it. And so he told Red, he was talking to Red, and he goes, "Listen, we're leaving for Baltimore Friday, and I think it would help you in recruiting if you got in the car and came down to see us off. And then we're getting back at this time, and after the game, come on back. The more you can be around this kid, and and that's how Rick Tolley was never on that plane. He was recruiting Billy Joe Mantooth, and he drove.
Wow.
So yeah, sorry to go into that, but that just when I read the news and heard the news about your baseball player and his family, and you asked me, and I said, wow, it just stuck. That is always, matter of fact, when I was playing at Fairham that year, 70 in September, I got to meet Rick because we played Marshall's JVs, and a lot of those players that were on that team, I actually played against, because some of them played in that JV game too. And I still have, this was the program for the 1970 Marshall University.
Oh, that's cool.
Program for the year. Yeah, it's so it was dear to my heart, not to take away anything from what happened with you
not
the
at
weekend.
Not at all.
But it just struck a heart and a nerve, and I can't just imagine. And that play in that game was the right thing to do, without a doubt. Honor.
That's right.
And then, and like I said, I think things like this can galvanize a team. It can galvanize a team. It really can, because, like I said, the human spirit is an amazing thing.
Well, and the thing, too, that neither team, Bryant or Radford, are ever going to forget this past weekend. Bryant ended up winning the series. Yesterday, they won the rubber match, but they were terrific. The opponent, they understood everything, the gravity of the situation. They supported it. It reminded us what's good about college sports, about sports in general.
Absolutely.
You know, it brings back why sports is important, despite how horrible it all seems to be in terms of where it's going with money and greed. But yeah, it was, and our former coach, his dad, Joey's dad, Joe Rakuya, went out yesterday somehow.
That's
went
amazing.
Out and
That's
spoke
amazing.
to the team he was in charge of the huddle. It was just
that coach ethic kicked in, buddy. You know, all of a sudden it's a dad, it's a father, a loss of a son, and all of a sudden the coach kicks in, man, and that spirit never goes away, and it becomes genuine and heartfelt. You know, I always equate it, Rick. I said sometimes, you know, you throw a pebble in a pond and you see the ripple effect. Well, this is like throwing a boulder in a pond, and those ripples are deep and wide. Because, like I said, even affecting the opponent.
It did.
Bryants.
They were true. Yeah, they were awesome.
They're a part of it.
They're part of it. That's right.
The lives that get touched, so the loss of a life that touches lives that go beyond the families, they'll never forget it. For myself, I didn't know. I met Rick Tolley, but I didn't know the three other players, Tommy Brown, the guy named Tommy Brown, Pat Norrell, and Jerry Stainback. Those were the three players on the 68 team before I had gotten there. I didn't know them, but I know them. I know who they are. I know exactly who they are. I never met them, but I know who they are. And I think even the Bryant players, I'm sure they'll have those same feelings, thoughts.
No question about it, they will. And I think they were all given – Radford's going to wear a JR30, Joey Rakuya, his number on the hat, and I think all the players wanted that as well, from what I was understanding. So it's it was special. It was a very special weekend. Sad. You hate to ever have to talk about these weekends or deal with them, but everybody at Radford, we handled it as well as you possibly can. And tonight will be the ceremonies, the service will be inside the Dedman Center. So people are asking, Coach, did you have another nickname when you were playing other than Coach Elm? What'd you have? Did you have like a nickname? Like
it's well, I really can't say. The profanity is way can't do it. Don't forget, hey Rick, when former players get in touch with me, especially the ones that have gone to the NFL, I feel, well, they got enough money. Here come the lawsuits.
So you did have a created nickname, is what you're telling me.
It'd be funny. You need to talk to Billy Myers, and if you ever have a chance to talk to Billy Myers, I'm sure they've had him throughout the year. They've never told it to my face. I was either Coach E or Coach Elmo, and that was the extent of it. But I wish I could even begin to tell you, but I'm sure it wasn't pretty.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. When you get to this part of the year, and I know it's changed now, right? You can do more hands-on things right now. What are coaches trying to?
What they can do now is ridiculous.
I know, and you didn't have any of that, did you? That's what I was going to ask you. What
Rick didn't want to.
You just got away. You could just get away and
not just getting away, but come on, be a student. I mean, they're coming over there now, and it's like Now what I loved in coaching more than anything else was the non-football visitations I would have with players. That's what I enjoyed. That I missed that. I missed the challenge of the opportunities off the field and dealing with those challenges, because I've always thought, and I've mentioned this numerous times to you and on Greg's show, what I wanted on the football field, I backdoored it by what you're doing off the field, because that's your control. You have that control. And so that was, I love football, Rick. I don't think nobody loved football more than me.
No,
let me tell you,
they don't.
You think I want to do it every day? I want to see them every day. I don't want to see them every day. They don't want to see me every day, at least me for sure. But I don't know how they do today. It's just, I'm glad I'm not coaching today because of that. we had spring practice, preparation for spring practice. And in the NCAA rules, you couldn't do anything with them on football. Nothing. If you were in an office and you were going on the board and you were talking football with them, that was a violation. And so I love the era I coached in. Loved it.
How much you recruited a lot? You're on the trail. How much did you ever see that went on that necessarily should not have been allowed to go on at the time, with players getting things, blue chips, if you will, the movie?
Yeah, it was going on. You knew. I've never a part of it. Didn't do it. Didn't feel like I had to do it. I was at universities that were the integrity.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, Purdue, Virginia Tech. The integrity was above board, and got into the Southeastern Conference, and that was a whole different ball. When I got to LSU, I had the northern part of Mississippi for recruiting, as well as the northern part of Louisiana, and that was it was NIL before NIL, Rick. The state of Mississippi had its own rules. Jackie Sherrill.
Yeah. Did you ever
read?
I read the Junction Boys. It kind of opened my eyes. That great book about that Texas A&M team, Bear Bryant and John David Crow, who was the biggest recruit in the country at the time, right? The running back who had a good career in the NFL with the Cardinals, and he's out working the farm, right? And Coach Bryant's at A&M, right? And all of a sudden, this crop duster goes by, and he sees all these things of dust bouncing around him. And then the crop duster flies away, and him and his dad go out, and there's little bags of money in a Texas A&M logo container. Guess where he ended up going to college?
Well, my list, I did this with Greg Roberts a couple of years ago, but I had a list. I'm probably going to forget some of them, but I had a list of my all NIL coaches before
NIL coaches.
Bear Bryant was number one. Then the next guy was Charlie Pell. We called him Cheating Charlie. Charlie was the former head coach at Clemson in Florida. When I was in East Carolina, we went down to Florida. They had Wilbur Marshall, John L. Williams. Oh God, and Coach Emery, he bent the envelope at East Carolina, but we had a real good football team at East Carolina. We had one of the best football teams in the school's history. 9 of our players on that. We were the third highest of NFL draft choices that year. It was Oklahoma, Texas, East Carolina in 1983. We had some cats now. We had some great players. So we go down to play Florida, and we're looking at their kids, and we're looking at our kids. We're going, they got bigger checks than we had.
We're not going to do well today. Not going to happen today.
Their cars in the parking lot were a whole lot better than our kids' cars. And then there was Fran Kersey at Kentucky. He was another one. That's a name that, not because he didn't win as many games, but oh my God, he was and Barry Switzer. Then you had Jackie Sherrill. So I mean, most of the guys were the Bryant guys. See, the rule, and here was the rule in cheating, Rick, back in the day. And I promise you, I was never involved in it.
No, I believe it. I believe it.
It didn't have to, because I didn't have to. And because even at LSU, the people that I signed, Andrew Whitworth, Rudy Neiswanger, these are 2 names. These kids are 1,400 SAT plus kids, valedictorians. Not that equated to not cheating, but you just didn't have to. We got them. We were going to get them. They're Louisiana kids. But here was the rule, okay, the unwritten rule. If you're going to cheat, do it in state. Never do it out of state.
I've heard several coaches tell me that. Yeah.
That's where SMU fell. There was a kid from Pittsburgh that brought the program down when it was all said and done. And I knew a lot of those guys on the staff. Matter of fact, the guy that that was PJ Bootsy Larson. He was
Bootsy. I love that.
He was the one that brought the whole damn program down.
Bootsy Larson. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So, but no, it's you keep it in state. You make sure your doctors and lawyers are not outbid by anybody else's doctors and lawyers in the state.
In the state.
That was the rule, and you'll be fine.
Morris has a question for you. He says, I always wondered, Coach Beamer was known for wide tackle 6, a defensive mind, but Coach Elmassian was hired to fix the defense. Somehow Elbow convinced Beamer to change his mind. That was all.
There was a little, that was a little overrated. The X's and O part of it, the old wide tackle 6, because at one point in time, as I told Bud, I said, Bud, they were really good on defense. Like 2 years before I had gotten there, 2 to 3 years, they were really good. They were so, and that was the press and people in terms of the conversation of what's wrong with Virginia Tech. So the first, the old wide tackle 6, it's antiquated. It's an old defense. Because basically what Frank, one of the reasons Frank hired me was the carryover from the Washington defense that I brought to the East Coast. I literally brought it to the East Coast. The pressure of lining up, showing pressure every snap. We're going to make that quarterback beat us with his checks. That was the bottom line. Okay, it was 11-on-1. And at that time, the spread offense kind of ruined it. Here was the thing, Rick. I'll divert a little bit, but I love talking football. So
no, it's great. This is awesome.
The philosophy was, let's take the game out of the press box and make this 18, 19, 20-year-older beat us, not the coach. And we wanted to take, there's a thing called what if in football. And where you sit in staff meetings and you what if yourself out of, you what if yourself into losing. What if they do this or what if they do that? And it really clouds your decision making. The what ifs. You gotta keep the what ifs out of the conversation. It's here's your facts. Here's what they got. Here's what we're gonna do. So our philosophy on defense and the Washington defensive philosophy was take the what if and put it in the offensive staff room. Make them what if themselves. And we did. At West Virginia, Don Nalen, I knew the head coaches on the staff that he was an absolute wreck when he would play us. It was a wreck. All of a sudden, what if they do this or what if they do that? What if they do blitz, even though they're showing it every snap and we didn't? But, and now the spread offense has taken that philosophy and put it on the defensive side. That's what's the problem right now. All of a sudden, you have a plan, you have a base defense. Well, what if they run the read zone and we're in this blitz? What if they do this? What if they do that? So it's really flopped. So the spread offense ran our defensive philosophy out. But the bottom line, it wasn't so much the transition of wide tackle 6 to the 8-man front, because Frank loved it because it was a lot of carryover. But what changed was how we did what we did with the personnel. He was actually set up you can recruit speed and you can create speed. And we created speed by taking, like Washington did at the time, taking the Jimmy Johnson Miami philosophy of we're going to create speed by taking safeties and making them linebackers, taking linebackers, making them ends, taking them ends and making them tackles. And all of a sudden we have a fast football team. We have a very, very fast football team. And then Bud kept that. Frank and Bud, they kept that in recruiting, for years and years. And next thing you know, you got Corey Moore, who nobody could block.
No.
You got these big 300-pound tackles. Cornell Brown's 215 pounds, but he runs 4.55. And go ahead and try to block, pass protect against him. And every snap, we were showing pressure because we wanted to talk him out of the run and affect the protections in pass. That was the whole philosophy. So that was the difference when it was all said and done. It was actually it was an easy transition because they had recruited for the wide tackle 6. So the transition to what we did was very easy.
Corey Moore, to me, the biggest surprise that didn't have an NFL career after what he did in college. I thought he was a slam dunk. Was he too much of a tweener? What?
Yeah, he was a DN in a linebacker's body.
Yeah.
And right now, he was a one down player. Basically a third down rush the passer player in the NFL. He holding up against the run. And you look at it right now, the defenses of the offense. And again, I'll go to this on Virginia Tech, and I'm really excited. I hope I can get up there in the spring. I may be wrong on this, but I am projecting of what I see as far as the recruiting. You're looking at the NFL, you look at college football now, and you look at teams. The defenses have caught up to the spread offense right now. They're starting to catch up to it. It was like the old wishbone days. All of a sudden, man, you couldn't stop it. And all of a sudden, the spread offense, no huddle and substitutions, and that's why it ran me out. It ran me out. Trust me. It was no, it really did. I had enough. And now you're going to see multiple tight ends. You're going to see what I call broad blocking surfaces. We call them 3-man surfaces, guard, tackle, tight end with another tight end in the game as a wing, or 2 on the line, or 3 tight ends in the game. And that's what you're seeing, because people are playing spread offenses with nickel, with spread personnel on defense to match the speed of the offense. So now you got big guys on little guys. And that's what's going on. And I think that's the direction, what I see in Tech recruiting, that they're going to go. It's going to.
I'm excited. That's the one part about James Franklin being here I'm the most excited about. The tight ends are going to be so prominent again. And I think that's been so missed. And I think it's so crucial. It's such a mismatch you can do I love the personnel when you have multiple tight ends that you can utilize.
And then the big offensive line.
Yeah.
Hey, as Nick always said, mass kicks ass. And,
That's right.
And next thing you know, this game turns into a game that you win it before the game is played, because next thing you know, it's funny, back in the wishbone days, the defensive linemen, especially like when Oregon State, UCLA, and Oregon State was a wishbone team. And here's UCLA with all these pro prospects, these defensive linemen, and they did not want to play that game.
No.
The cut blocks, which is illegal now, but they have the cut blocks. So you'd see the first half, UCLA got the pretty uniforms, and they had all black shoes, right? The second half, they're all black shoes, are all spatted up in the second half, and half of them aren't playing anymore.
Yeah, right.
So you try to win the game before the game is played it's not going to affect all, but you got about 4 or 5 teams you'll play that mentally those players will be watching that game, and they may not want any part of it.
Well, Coach Foster used to tell me the coach he didn't want to see was Paul Johnson.
Oh, no doubt.
At Georgia Tech. No. He said, Rick, I hate it. He goes, it sucks. I have a hard time with it. And he used to tell me that on the show. He was very honest.
I was fortunate. I was the first wishbone quarterback in the state of Virginia, Rick. 1969, Coach Norton put the wishbone in.
Hey, look at you there.
That's this from Virginia football history.
They did it well, didn't they? Georgia Tech did it well.
We ran the wishbone in 69. Yeah. He loved the offense. It was his personality, with 3 backs in the backfield and running the ball. And so having played it and I've never lost to a wishbone team in my career. Played Navy, Army, Oregon State, Ohio U with Jimmy Grove when I was at Wisconsin. And we had a plan. We had a great plan versus the wishbone. And even when I was at West Virginia, we played Ohio U, which was still a wishbone team. And never lost to one my whole career. Never lost one, because I knew the offense. I used to tell the offensive coaches, especially like Dan Henning at Boston College, we're playing Navy, and they won 10 games that year. We were not a very good football team. I told them, I said, Dan, you're going to have the ball 8 times in this game. Their number one philosophy is to limit the possessions of the team that they're playing on offense. And you got 8 possessions. If you turn it over, we're not winning this game. And we ended up beating them. We ended up beating Navy.
But yet, Paul Johnson had Calvin Johnson, the Hall of Famer, Demarius. He always had receivers. He always had the passing threat. That was what made it so difficult.
Hey, Rick, when I was coaching back in the day, when I was coaching on offense, we maybe only threw it 6 times in the game, but 4 of them were shots. They're all deep balls.
Right.
I said, we know these bubble screens, and the old adages is I'll catch it for 2 and run for 2 and get 4. He goes, hell, they could run the ball doing that, back in the day. But and that was, the fun part when you played was the wishbone teams. When you played a wishbone team, it was the pass that was going to put the dagger in your heart off the play actions and the early downs and the shots.
Yep.
Because if they're going to throw it, they're not throwing no quick game hitch. That ball's it's a post, it's a double move pattern, it's a sidelining up, it's a go route, it's a post route, it's a deep shot. And so if the wishbone team throw it 6 times, 5 of them are going to the end zone. And probably 2 of them are coming down, and it's a touchdown. When Texas beat Arkansas in the great game in '69, they won it on a 4th and 1. James Street was the quarterback. And when Darrell Royal called the play, James Street almost fell over because it was a pass on a 4th. No, it was like 4th and 3 or 4. And it ended up being a tight end running a 7 cut. We call a corner route. And that's how they ended up winning the game, on a pass.
What's the biggest? I'm just hearing you talk about the wishbone. We have Coach Rags on every month, and of course the single wing, and really old time football single. What are the biggest similarities and differences, and how did one breed from the other, the wishbone and the single wing?
Deception. What's interesting? You'll love this. People don't realize this. Darrell Royal, when Emery Ballard invented the wishbone, because they had so many great backs. That was the other thing. They had great backs, and they wanted them on the field. And when he invented it, they actually, their burnt orange jerseys, and they had their stripes on the things. It matched the color of the ball. They matched the burnt orange to the color of the ball. When that ball went in that fullback's belly, you couldn't find the ball. You couldn't see the ball. And so, listen, you'll love this story, Rick. I'm at Fair. Texas was in the Cotton Bowl, and they had Cotton Bowl practice jerseys with "Beat the Irish" on the front. And all of a sudden, these jerseys were floating around the country. They ended up at CMT Sporting Goods. There was a guy named Corky. Remember the old CMT Sporting Goods?
Absolutely, I do. Yeah.
So the guy who was the representative, Corky Brammer, he'd always coach Norton. The throwaways and the giveaways always went to Fair. Hell, Hank had no money. I mean, we never taped ankles. Hell, we didn't go to hey, Virginia Tech's tape budget was our athletic budget. So all of a sudden, Corky, they end up in Roanoke. All these practice jerseys that they just boxed up, they end up in Roanoke. So Corky calls Hank. He goes, "Hank, you want these jerseys?" Sure. So we get the jerseys. So we're playing Nassau Community College at night. So we went up there and wore the jerseys. We put tape on the cross. This is true story. And Jim Wyman, the head coach, it comes out. He goes, "Hank, you changed the color of your schools?" Because we was black and gold. Hank goes, "It's an off gold." We beat the crap out of them running the wishbone. They couldn't find that ball to save her life. That is a true story, Rick.
Oh, I love it.
Only a Fair. We could do numerous shows if you want to hear.
That's good. That's good.
There's one. I'll tell you, there's one show that we should do, Rick. They should make a movie out of it. The time the KKK, we were playing in Lees McRae in Murfreesboro. We were staying in Banner Elk, right, Grantham, and the KKK came down to harass our football team.
Really?
And black kids. Oh yeah. And that's we'll save that for another show.
Yeah, I got to hear about that. Yeah, absolutely.
And they should make a movie about it, because what happened in the suit after that was unbelievable.
Yeah, let's make sure. I tell you what, let's make that the focus story the next time. Remind me. We gotta do
If you want to, it's people. Here's the thing: I have witnesses because a lot of the players are still alive, and it's a story that just one for the ages. Trust me, it's so scary. It's funny. It's scary, but now you can do nothing but laugh about it.
But the result of it made it. Okay. All right. We'll do that.
By the way, I was going to bring this up with you. I'm glad I call it throwing grenades. You launched one this morning with Virginia Tech's basketball uniform. Honest to God, I'm glad you did it because I figure I got no place. But I turned that TV on as a former Virginia Tech coach that I did my blood, sweat, and tears in that field, as we all did and every coach did there. I don't know who's made that decision, but let me tell you, where's the orange and the maroon?
It's one of the most beautiful color combos in all of college sports.
As a former, I'm not an alum, but as a former coach that really put their heart and soul, as we all did, everybody did, Bud, all of them. And I'll guarantee you, Bud Foster or Todd Grantham, you can ask Todd. If Todd was watching a game, I'll promise you Todd was going, what the what? And that
I don't
was
get
probably
it, man.
the reaction. I've
never understood it.
What the hell are they doing, Rick? What are they doing?
I don't know.
I'm glad you brought it up because I didn't want to bring it up. When you brought it up, I figured, okay, good, I can jump in on this one.
It's such a bad design. And they insist on that VT, which looks great on the helmet. It's a beautiful helmet logo, but when it's big like that on the back, it doesn't look good. It doesn't. I don't know why who's over there making these decisions. I don't get it.
I'd fire him. I'd fire him in a heartbeat.
It looks terrible.
I'd have been fired because I'd have just raised hell. I mean, I would have. I'd have raised hell. Listen, the worst, when I got one of the things we did at Virginia Tech in '93, one of the things before, I've mentioned this numerous times on your show, our players were wearing Miami gear. They weren't wearing, nobody was wearing Virginia Tech gear. You saw more Syracuse, Miami, other programs gear, but Virginia Tech. And we changed that in a hurry. That orange and maroon. And when you look at one thing about Franklin, I will be surely shocked and disappointed. He has enough Penn State in him, I hope. You look at Penn State, you look at Alabama, you look at those great teams. Nick Saban, no way would he ever change the uniform.
Did you hear his story about when Nike came up with a black uniform design for Alabama and Saban stepped in and just told the president, we're not doing that?
No.
Crimson hat, crimson jersey, white pant.
Number on the side.
White jersey, white pant. We're Alabama football. We don't need.
Period.
I love it.
Barry Eller is the same way at Wisconsin. And, and I'm telling you, Rick, that because it's not only what you're doing now in your program, you have people that have toiled to get you to where your program is. If you're successful, it would be a slap in the face to Bear Bryant and all those players that played at Alabama, a slap in their face, or to Penn State. I know Jopa went through all the crap up there, but still, Franco Harris, Lydell Mitchell, John Mackey, all these great players. And to me, as a former coach, I looked at that and I went, I hope you get your ass kicked.
It looks so bad.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry, Rick. Your listeners, this may be the last show I ever do with you.
No, because I feel I couldn't agree more. I've preached about it for years. People are like, you're making a big deal out of nothing. No, it's something.
I saw those uniforms. I started rooting for Carolina.
It's I've never seen a school hate its own current color scheme more than Tech, and all their sports do it. Football's going to do it this year. They're wearing black now. They're going to be a black uniform pop up this year.
See, I'm going to give Franklin some credit now. I mean, he couldn't do it at Penn State.
Correct.
That uniform did not change at Penn State.
They weren't going to let him do it. That's right.
I hope and pray he has the Nick Saban attitude when Nike comes in and wants to change it, go, hey, absolutely, because he has the clout to do it. He's undefeated right now, Rick.
That's exactly right.
He's undefeated. And right now, it's his program. And when if you're going to change this uniform, no way. I want orange and maroon, and that's the only colors that are going to be involved in this uniform.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
Period.
It's a great color scheme.
And let me tell you, if he changes, I will be extremely disappointed.
Well, prepare to be disappointed, I'm afraid.
And I got another word, but I won't use it. This is why I didn't last long at jobs, Rick.
No, this is why you're here. This is great. What a way to start a Monday. I needed this. This is great.
Hey, the only good news is you're the one that pulled the pin and threw the grenade.
I did.
So I figured, what the hell? I'll catch it. I'll throw another one myself.
I mean, and you're in that big game and you're on national TV and you show up not looking anything like Virginia Tech. You just look like some other school that's decided to throw out some stupid gimmicky uniform.
Well, change. You want to do that? Just change the colors of the school to black.
Yeah, go back to what was it back? And people try to say, well, that's an homage to the old. No, it's not. That's not what
it's not.
They're not doing
No. I got one word: Alabama. Just think Alabama.
That's right.
Okay. Because it's a tribute. You're representing your past, not your future. You're representing your past when you put that uniform on.
Correct.
That uniform is bigger than you. It is not about you.
Yeah. And they can't say it's for recruiting anymore because the only thing that matters in recruiting is the color green.
The color green. Hey, by the way, Rick, before we go, we got to have a shout out to Roanoke College. Didn't they won the ODAC, didn't they?
They did. You're right. Beat number 1 Randolph Macon. How about that? Go Maroons. Go Maroons.
So happy for Paige Moyer.
That's cool.
I love Paige Moyer. He's
a good dude. I got to get him on here. Yeah, I got to get him on.
Oh, I tell you, he is the best.
Good guy. Really good guy. No doubt. His dad was too.
Well, like I said, Rick, if this has been the last show, hey, it was great.
I'll have to send you a Big Dog shirt. That's what I'm going to have.
Yeah, the parting gift.
Then you'll know.
Hey, by the way, when are you going to have that get together? I remember you had something planned. You were going to have a.
Yeah, we're going to get Morris. I will. We'll get basketball over with, and that'll help a lot. Yeah, we're going to work with Morris when he comes back.
Let me know when you're going to do that, because if I can.
You have to be there. Absolutely. You've got to be there, Coach.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll work it out through you. Yeah, Morris has been scheduling it. We'll do it after basketball season coming up. So.
Do it when the new river's good enough to fish in.
There you go. So you'll have something. We will.
Because when I come up here, I'm going to go fishing for sure.
Okay, we'll do it.
Cool. All right, Rick. Well, hey, tell Todd I said hello.
I will do it. You take care. By the way, I'm going to say this out of respect. Your wife looked better in the UAB gear than you do. So
recruiting, Rick.
I know.
I still got it.
That's awesome.
All right, buddy.
All right, brother. Take care. Good to see you, man. Yep. There you go. Morris just made my day. Elmo in the house. Hell yeah. Yeah, he'll be there. Coach Elmo can be there. He'll be. Yeah, but now Morris, now we have to time it around his fishing schedule. They have to make sure we do it. The elixir coming from Coach Elmo. Maybe now you'll start to listen to me about how you shouldn't wear stupid black uniforms for no reason. See? It was terrible. Come on. And we have a lot of Tech fans. There can't be one fan here that goes, yeah, that was a good look on Saturday night. Boy, that looked really sharp. That black is cutting edge. Come on. Yeah, I think it would turn into something else with Coach Elmo around. Yeah, that might be a little later in the evening type of thing with Coach Elmo around. I would agree, Morris. But we will. We're going to do that, and I think doing it at the NRV Super Bowl will be perfect. We're going to get back in there, and we're going to do it. There we go. Professional door text line. People saying, hate the black. What were we wearing? What are we doing? Is that marketing? No, because nobody wears it. Nobody wears it. If it sold And when I was over doing the tailgate show and I saw Tech fans walking around in black, I'd go, okay, well, I guess they were right. Guess what? I've never seen anyone wear any black Virginia Tech garb at a tailgate. So then why are you doing it? Because the shoe company tells you to? If you're not marketing and making any money off of it, it's not for recruiting. Nito didn't come over there saying, you're going to let me wear the black uniform 4 or 5 times, aren't you? It's a terrible look. And yet you're going to see softball and baseball do it throughout the spring. And I bet you, does wrestling have black wrestling unis? But they've got to fix the VT on the basketball uniform. Virginia, number Tech. Wow, what a concept. Or how about cursive Hokies like Bimbo Coles? That looked great. You know the script Tech put on the football helmet? Remember at the end of the year, NAMA traditions? I love the VT on the helmet. I don't ever want them to change, but when they went with that script, that looked really good. I thought, why not just put that on the basketball uniform or the baseball uniform? Can I design the uniforms, please? Who's the guy at Nike that keeps on throwing this out there? Just so you can do a blackout? You can do a blackout and wear your colors. You can give out black T-shirts or something to your fans, but you don't have to change your identity. And that's what it does. It completely changes your identity. Like Coach Elmo said. Maybe now when Coach Elmo starts saying it, you'll start to understand. Let me know when you go out, when you have your $200 to buy a jersey and you have a maroon and orange, I don't know, Grunkmeyer jersey, or you have a maroon, or you have a black Grunkmeyer jersey. Let me know which one you choose. I know which one you're going to choose. The maroon and orange is immaculate. It's so clean. It just looks so good. And it harkens back to the greatest era in Tech football history. The Michael Vick jersey is perfection to me. That whole uniform scheme. Now, I'd have rather had stripes on the pants. But the way they had the orange number on that, oh, man. It's just a great uniform. And we're not talking the throwback interlocking VT. I like that too. I'm always going to be down for throwbacks because you are paying homage to your earlier self. That's why in the NFL, the throwbacks are the most popular. Ever notice that? They show up in Chapel Hill on national TV wearing black and gray. And then you go out and you lose a big game. Just wear your colors. That's all. Is it that hard? Is it? Apparently it is. Apparently it's that difficult. It's not just Tech. Oh, no. They'll put out messages on X at different universities unveiling it, like the dreaded Tennessee black uniform, which looks terrible. Oh, that's straight fire. All those people down there in Knoxville. Oh, man. Or the gray, in Tennessee wears that gray. What are you doing? What? Is that supposed to be something you go, yeah, boy, that was a nice decision? Alabama doesn't change. Who else doesn't change? Can't say Notre Dame anymore because they've fallen prey to that the last few years. Texas. Has Texas ever had a black uniform? I don't know. Rick Soapbox takes a beating every show. Not every show. But that bothered me. I had no hope they would win after I saw them in that. I'm like, Got back from Longwood. We just gotten our tails kicked. Still finished as the number 3 seed in the upcoming tournament. By the way, we will do a show Friday, and then Neil and I are leaving right after the show to head to Johnson City for the tournament, the Big South basketball tournament. We play the late game on Friday. We play the 9 o'clock game. A gray rock uniform is the best. Yes. Like I said, if I saw them selling, if I saw people wearing them, if I heard that the bookstore was running out of black tech gear, you could go, all right, it's still stupid, but at least they marketed it right and they're making money. But that's not the case. Thank you, Zach. Thank you. It was all about the moment. It was all about Joey Rakuya. I mean, you don't plan anything that you say. You don't plan it. But I've heard from people all over the country. I mean, it's been interesting, the people that have reached out to me about that call, the things that I've just seen people say about this whole thing, and seeing college baseball as a whole hold moments of silence for Joey Rakuya, somebody they didn't know. TCU yesterday, top nationally ranked program. Texas, they paid moment of silence. We were at the game Saturday calling the basketball game. Longwood did a moment of silence for Joey Rakuya. And I believe somebody told me they've seen 20 or 30 baseball programs hold just moment of silence, explaining what's going on to the crowd. It's pretty emotional. And it shows you how tight-knit that whole baseball community is. And it was bigger than the results. It was bigger than any of the games. It was just about what it all represented. And seeing his dad yesterday, Joe, saw him on Friday, and all I could do was just embrace, tell him I love him. There's nothing you can say. But yesterday he actually went out and spoke to the team. It was pretty emotional. And then tonight we're going to have the visitation and the memorial service inside Dedman Center tonight. So, but thank you, Zach. But wasn't about me. It was all about the moment and the improbable rally. That first game will go down in the ages as maybe the biggest win they've ever had. And they've won games that took them to the NCAA tournament. But this weekend will never be forgotten. Good stuff from Coach Elmo, as always. Joining us now on the program, it's always good stuff. It's that gentleman, Todd Grantham. What's up, Coach? Good morning.
Good morning, bud. How you doing this morning?
We're hanging in there. We're hanging in there.
Yeah. First of all, let me say thoughts and prayers to the Radford family, the baseball program. My son was there last year.
That's right.
And that's obviously a tough situation, but thoughts and prayers to everybody involved. And, hopefully everybody comes through this and continue to move forward. But obviously it's a tough deal. And Friday was I saw the highlights and the episode of you kind of going crazy after the win. That was pretty awesome, man. So anyway, thoughts and prayers to everybody involved, and, continue to move forward.
Have you experienced that, Coach? Any of your stops that you've been? Have you had that happen?
Yeah, I actually did when I was coaching at Michigan State. We had spring break, and we had a player pass away. He was hit by a tractor and trailer, and I don't know the whole specifics of it, but anyway, he passed away, and we dealt with that during spring practice and everything. It's a tough deal, and it does galvanize your team, and it does bring. That's part of sports. It does bring people closer together. Just like we were talking about the hockey team last week and about being in the locker room and that bond, and you can't buy that. What happened in the locker room, you can't buy that. Just like when you're a part of a team and something like that happens, and you go through that as a team, players and coaches, you can't buy that. And the relationships and the bond that you get, goes with you your entire life. And then, 25, 30 years from now, you'll be thinking about those situations. So that's the great thing about sports is it makes, you go through things together and good and bad. And you come together and you get to know people. And that's really what sports is all about. And that's one of the reasons I got into it. And it is tough, but you kind of grow together.
And given the current environment around college football in particular, what you're doing now with your team, you and your coaching staff and across the country and what they're doing at Tech, I mean, that's what you're trying to create, right? That bond, that whole thing about, okay, now you guys are a team and everybody has to recognize all that and get that same vibe going.
Exactly. And it really gets down to relationships. You got to, you're stuck in a tough situation nowadays because one, you get like we have 27 new guys, but truthfully, everybody's new because we just got here. So you're trying to teach a system and what you're doing, but at the same time, you got to balance it out and understand it's not always what we play, but how we play it. And you got to define those things about. We talked about discipline, attitude, and toughness, but even like this week, for example, we kind of take something each week. As a team and kind of talk about it. And this week we were talking more about, controlled emotion. Yeah, you got to be up for a game. You got to be hyped and all that. But at the same time, you got to have enough control in your thought process so you can go execute. And you got to kind of develop that. But one thing we're kind of doing that's pretty cool is, and it gets you to know the players, is like we're having, for every team meeting we have, we're having 4 to 5 guys get up and kind of tell their why. You know what I'm saying? Like their history, like, where they're from,
their
I like
history,
their heartache, you know what I'm saying? And it really gives you a perspective on young men. I mean, like these kids are just going through life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they all have aspirations. Obviously the NFL is a part of that. Some of them have aspirations to own their own business. Some of them have their aspirations of going back to their hometown and working. I mean, everybody has their own deal. And we kind of call it the 4 H's. And it just basically, it lets you get to know the person. And, it doesn't take long and all that, but it gets someone up there. So that way, because when you walk by someone, when we come in January and you walk by someone in the hallway, like you don't know this, like, who is this? Because you don't know everybody. And, I did think that we did something well last year that I liked, that it was always a point to introduce yourself every day to somebody, to 5 people new. In other words, like when you're walking the hallways, and it might be an employee, it might be the academic counselor, it might be the janitor. I mean, like you're introducing, you say hello to yourself, and just so that people get to know you. So, that's part of what we're doing right now. But that's the part of the game that I enjoy the most, is the bonding with the players and development of players and watch guys grow and those kind of things.
I like that. Yeah, that's smart. And you're right. You have to do that now with the way things are set up. And like you said, in your situation, Coach, you guys are all new. So everybody's got to kind of just say, okay, we got to make this feel like just this is the way it's going to be going forward. I like that.
And I think as a coach, I think that I grew as a coach when I went to the Cowboys, because like, getting into like basketball, like obviously that's not my deal from that perspective. But when you go back and look at the Bulls that you were able to get, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, and all those guys, Rodman, all those guys to play together. And, it was more of a personality thing, and it was more about handling people, managing people. You know what I'm saying? And like when I first went to the Dallas, like the first year, we were really a disappointment from the standpoint of, we're supposed to win the conference and those kind of or the division. And we actually did an addition by subtraction, meaning we got rid of Terrell Owens, okay, which we actually took a rookie, undrafted free agent from Virginia, and we got rid of a guy named Tank Johnson, and we took a guy that had been cut by the Kansas City Chiefs that people didn't think could play, and added those to our roster. And we went out and we won the NFC East and made it to the playoffs. Actually we played Vikings in the semifinals of the division, that year. But it was really addition by subtraction, and it gets down to managing people. You know what I'm saying? And everybody has their own career now. Everybody's got their own goals per se. And, as a coach, you got to figure out, how do I funnel these goals that they have into the team element? Okay. And how does that help the team? Because it's all about the team. And that's the greatest thing about, football right now, is it's truly a team sport. And I think that the challenge now as a coach is yeah, you got to teach guys what to do, how to do it, and those kind of things. But, how do I take this guy who has these goals and he's only been here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and how do we start funneling this and channeling this into our team and our team goals so that we all, because it can all work, and then how we're all successful. So that really becomes, and I felt like, sometimes in college guys are like, well, this is our system. Yeah, that's your system, but the players make the system. So how do you tweak your system each year relative to the players you have? And I think that's the challenge, and that's what you got to do to be a great coach, and kind of be able to take the players you have and put them in position to make plays. So you got to adjust your system every year. So that's really the challenge nowadays.
Is there anything you miss about not being in the NFL anymore now that you're back in college? And what's
Not
some
really.
of the big what's some of the biggest differences between the two?
Well,
I guess,
the quality of life in pro football is better. Okay.
Well, yeah.
So the quality of life is better from that standpoint, because basically you do football, you don't have to worry about NIL. Is a guy transferring? Academics still play a major part in it. But there's other things there is then you get into, okay, you take away the academics, but in pro football, you could have a guy that could be going through a marital thing. Okay. Could be going through just a brand new newborn, and how is he going to get his sleep? I mean, like, there's other issues in life, because, football is your job, and it's how you make earn your living. But at the same time, there's other things in your life that you got to be able to kind of, manage. So there's always going to be issues. But the thing about pro football, I enjoyed coaching the players. And to this day, as long as a player felt like that you had their best interest at heart and that you could make them better, they were going to do what you said to do, even in pro football, because they knew that if they got better, they could extend their career.
Right.
So that was, and then you kind of went about how you because you were with those guys so much in pro football. It's actually less now than college, in the sense, this is before the new collective bargaining, but basically they were there from the end of February till January. So that's like a long time with guys. So you got to figure out some things you can make it interesting for them as well. It can't just be all about football. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be other things involved, particularly this time of year, just because, this is when you can get to know guys, you can talk to guys and those kind of things. So I'd probably miss that the most. The thing I don't miss about pro football is not being able to control the roster. I mean, like, nowadays it's so split between personnel and the coaching side that the teams that are really good, there's a vision between the personnel side for what the coach wants and what the coach needs. And that's what you draft to. You don't draft to what the combine said, meaning I saw a thing the other day, about all these guys running these fast numbers as wide receivers, right? Well, how many of those guys that ran the fastest time are still in the National Football League? You know what I'm saying? So it's not all about that's a piece of it, but there's other pieces to it,
right,
that you have to look at and evaluate. And I think the biggest thing for me is if I ever did it again, is the vision with the personnel side to be able to get the guys you want. You know what I'm saying? And those kind of things, because you can win. I actually think that in some ways in pro football, it's gotten a little more lazy, in the sense of because you don't get the guys as much like nowadays, because, the owners wanted that extra game. So they kind of took away how often guys would be around. So now the calendar starts later for guys have to be in, and it's all voluntary basically. And it's less time in the building. So therefore, what I kind of saw is you put less install in the spring in the National Football League. You know what I'm saying? So your ability to add to your playbook and do those things become kind of minimal. So I think some guys just kind of bypass it and going to bank on the players making plays per se. But I think that there is a little bit of, laziness, to be honest with you, up there as far as how things are taught or approached during the spring. I mean, to go in and say, I'm going to play one front for, the whole OTAs doesn't make sense to me. You know, you got to teach guys. I mean, guys can learn. So anyway, I think that's the one part of it that's a little disappointing to me is your ability to be able to install your stuff relative to what the calendar says.
How much of an analytics guy are you? Like, do you look at that? Does that just kind of get overdone? Does that become too relied on? But like you're saying, you can watch a guy and know whether he's a football player instead of just looking at pure numbers that he may turn into a combo.
Yeah, I think that. So everything is percentage based in the National Football League, and I still have their guidelines for how we use it here, you know, at UAB from the standpoint of it doesn't mean a guy can't play. Like, let's say that a guy runs a certain number as a receiver, a certain 40 time. Well, that 40 time tells you from a percentile standpoint his percentage of making it in the National Football League. For example, if a guy runs 4.26, well, he's in the 100th percentile. So he has the speed, right? Well, let's say a guy ran 4.7. Well, he's going to be in the 10th or 5th percentile, meaning 95% of the people are going to make it before him. Doesn't mean he can't make it, but from a percentage standpoint, of 100 players in the National Football League, only 4 are running that. Does that make sense? So it becomes it's more of a percentile thing. I mean, that's why guys drop in the draft, and that's why guys go up, because what happens is you have these measurables for height, weight, speed, what they jump, and all of that gives you a percentile of how their measurables compare to other starters in the National Football League. Okay. And where they rank with those guys. And then they do have the analytics version now of the plays they make and those kind of things. I think that's more, to be honest with you, more the eye. Meaning you don't know what the guy's being coached, what he's being told to do. So I don't bank as much on that as, hey, tell me height, weight, speed, what they can do, and then watch the tape. And then I think the biggest thing is you got to put value on the guy for, okay, is he a 2-down player? Is he a 3-down player? Can he play special teams? Like, what's his position flexibility? You know what I'm saying? Well, the guy can play, like, for example, Dallas Turner. Okay, when I was with the Saints and Dallas Turner, like, you know, we had a hard time. Like, well, he's a specialty player that doesn't really fit our defense. And I'm like, well, this guy makes plays and playmakers win games. So you figure it out. Okay. And he could have actually, in my opinion, been a stack linebacker, off the ball backer on early downs and moved to the end of the line on 3rd down or whatever situation you want to have it. So I think that you got to have a vision for how you're going to use the player. You know what I mean? Just to say, I'm going to take a guy because he's big, fast, and all that. Well, how are you going to use the guy? And I think that's where people get in trouble is the vision between personnel side and coaching side doesn't mesh. And you end up with a player that doesn't fit, and they don't know how to utilize the guy's talents, or he can't do it. He cannot, you know, function in your system. So I think that's the challenge in the NFL right now.
It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, so when you're sitting there with your staff and, you know, you've recruited these guys, you have them in now and you're working with them, you just kind of hope that it doesn't show up on the other side of it. That, okay, well, maybe we didn't recruit. Maybe we didn't notice something about this guy that he's not going to work out here. How long does it take you now to watch these guys now? Or what's your, you know, how long is in your experience, you know?
We've been kind of limited in what we're doing from a, hey, you know, you're not going against a particular guy. So you can watch guys run, change direction, all those kind of things. So you kind of get a feel. I think the biggest thing now is you can kind of get a feel for how guys learn, you know, how they process, you know, what's their work ethic like, you know, like how much are they watching tape? You know, like nowadays we give everybody iPads, right? Well, I can check your iPad and tell how long you've been on the iPad. You know, I can have our computer guy log into the iPad and tell me, hey, this week this guy spent so many hours on an iPad. So I you know, you get a feel. Now some guys like coming to the office and watching it, which is fine with me on their own, and they can do whatever they want to do. But you know, I think you get a better feel nowadays when they get here of the things that really matter as far as work ethic, you know, competitive nature, ability to learn, you know, those kind of things. And then I think as we go through it, even now per se, is you start saying, well, this guy could play this position or this position, because at the end we're going to rank our guys, right? Well, if we rank our guys, you obviously want your 11 best players on the field. Okay. Well, if one of the top 11 get hurt, I don't want to have to go to the 18th or 19th player to get him in the game just because he knows what to do. I want to be able to put the 12th, 13th, or 14th guy relative to a position in the game. So I think that, and I think this is what's helped me being back in college. Like even now, we have roughly 41 guys. That's more than I've ever been used to. Because when I was a coordinator in National Football League, I mean, you might have 22 guys active game day, because you have a 45-man roster on game day. So how are these 22 guys going to play the game? And then who's playing what relative to somebody getting hurt or somebody needing a blow or those kind of things. So I think it forces you to cross-train people to get the best players on the field, because it's all about players. It's all about getting the best players on the field to go make plays. So I think that's the challenge nowadays is you get these guys so, late, and really, we got them in January. It's where are they going to fit? And then what position flexibility do they have to get your best players on the field? So that's really what we're going through right now, trying to figure it out. And the guys have been really good. I think we move in the right direction every week. Next week they're actually going to be on spring break, and then we come back, and then we actually get to do football. We start spring practice, which is probably the funnest time of the year for me, because you get to coach and teach football and kind of be around it with the idea that you don't got to go to a meeting to get ready to win a game, from that standpoint.
Well, along those lines, one more question here from Wayne. He says, Coach, what are the most important goals in the spring? What are you guys laid out? What is it about spring ball that you're trying to get accomplished?
Well, the first thing you got to get a call is we got to play to our identity, which is fast, physical, and aggressive. So the first thing we'll do is a pursuit drill, and I want you to strain. And we'll do the pursuit drill, not a traditional 11 guys. What we'll do is we'll have four front guys, 4 D linemen per se. They're going to go out, and we're going to get them moving left, right, up, down, whatever. And then I'm going to turn, and there's 4 dudes, right? Well, there's only 3 cones, and the cones are on the side of the field. Okay. Well, you gotta stick your foot in the ground and run your ass to get one of those cones, but there's only 4 of them. There's only 3 of them. So somebody's getting left out. So then you get to see guys strain, and the guy that doesn't get a cone's got to go to midfield. He owes me 10 up downs. We go the next group. And then we'll put 4 guys out there with 3 cones. Okay. With the idea that I want to see you run and strain. Okay. So we got to teach that. So then once we teach effort, you got to teach effort, because if you don't have effort, and I think you got to show them during practice. Like, for example, then we got to take that to a team period. All right. So when you get to the team period and we're going against the offense, like, we're not tackling to the ground, but we're not tackling to the ground, but we're getting in a hitting position. Right. Well, you got to have guys pursuing to the ball. Well, you can grade effort on that. So the thing that we do with spring practice, every day we grade you on your ability to play physical. And that's talking about up front and those kind of things. That's not cheap shots. That's playing blocks. It could be a corner playing blocks and cover 2. Your physicality, your effort. Okay. And then we look at your mental errors, which you're going to have mental errors because everything's new. Right. And then we're going to grade you on every play to see where you are, and we're going to compare that to other people, because at the end of the day, it's just like the world. The most productive people are going to be the guys that play. Yeah. And that way, I'm not setting the depth chart, you are. Okay, so you're going to set the depth chart based on the way you perform in practice. So obviously, physicality and effort are the 2 major things, and then you got to teach guys how to do things, the techniques, because a technique in this defense could carry over to a new defense in the fall that we put in for a game relative to who we're playing, but it's the same technique. So then you got to get into, the techniques of it. You know what I'm saying? So really you start talking about physicality, effort, and then the fundamentals of how to do things. Those are the things that you really got to get accomplished. And then the other thing is, honestly, is evaluating the players, because we don't get preseason games.
Right.
So like, you need to evaluate guys in tough situations. Like every defense, just like every offense, every defense has like the strength of the defense. Okay. Well, every thing's going to have a weakness too. So a lot of times, I'll be honest, I'll put us in bad positions in the spring to see if we're dialing it up and hitting it, shit, we don't got to worry about it. Right.
Yeah,
But like,
right.
if it comes to a situation where we got to make a play, can you make a play? So a lot of times in the spring, I'll put us in position, in tough positions, just to see how we can make plays and evaluate people in one-on-one matchups. So those are really the things that I think that are important to start with, is really just talking about your physicality, your effort, how you do things, and then watching you compete and win one-on-one. And then it gets into consistency too. You know, we don't practice every day, so it's basically either a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, week, or a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday week. And then how do you stack days on top of days and everything? And then I think it's important that, like, we meet a lot in, like, even because we're limited in our time right now, so we meet individual a lot right now. But once the spring ball version of it starts, we'll start meeting together, because I want the corners to see, hey man, who's knocking the shit out of people up front? You know what I mean? And I want the D line to see, shit, who's covering guys in the back, because then you get a bond like, well, this guy's a good player. Because honestly, those guys don't look at that stuff. You know what I mean? They're just looking at their position in their room. And I think you got to bring guys together that way, that there's a respect involved, like, shit, this guy can play, or it can also call guys out. I mean, and I think you can do it nowadays. Like, for example, the tape doesn't lie. So if we're watching a play and you're not running to the ball, all I got to do is that as hard as you can run? And then no. Well, what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? So in a lot of ways, you just corrected the guy, because you can't have habitual defenders. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, like, it's going to happen. Like, everybody's going to loaf at some point, but you got to develop the habits that I'm going to strain to the ball. Give us a blade of grass to defend. And I think that you can show that on tape, because guys don't want to be called out in front of their peers, you know. And the same token, you can show the type of characteristics of physicality, effort that you want. And this is what we're looking for. Like, watch this guy run to the ball. Like, watch this guy strain on this play. You know what I'm saying? So you can show the good plays as well as the bad plays. And then you can educate the players on what you're looking for. You know, I mean, because a lot of times you may think that a guy understands, but they may not understand. So I think you got to show them on tape, like, exactly, and define it. You know, like, we actually define a loaf. You know, what is a loaf? And we show them on tape what a loaf is. And I think if you're just really talking about educating guys. So I think as you do that, you can educate guys, and then you get more what you want as far as guys playing fast, physical, and aggressive.
Good answer. There you go. Knowledge from Coach Grantham. Good stuff, man. And by the way, thanks for the hoodie. It looks great.
Yeah, man. Great. Yeah, no problem.
That was great. That's a great logo. So I'm
a
big
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm a big Godzilla fan. It reminds me of Godzilla. I'm a big Godzilla fan.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, this is sweet, man. That's sweet.
Yeah.
Well, man, I hope you guys have a great week, and appreciate you as always, brother.
No problem. You guys take care. See you.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. How about that for an answer, huh? That takes you right inside. I love that, man. I'll tell you what. You just sit there. I'm just sitting here absorbing it, you know, listen to the coach, and you just envision it all, both coaches, right? It's great, man. We get more knowledge from those two guys, just taking you inside. Now, if you're a Tech fan, you're getting ready, you think about what's going on. It's got to be similar, right, across the country, and what James Franklin and his staff are going to be doing. It's cool. It's cool. Good stuff. Been a good show today. Start off on Monday. Coach Elmo was in rare form. Thanks for all the Professional Door Incorporated text messages. Good stuff. And again, welcome to Sundown Electric. Thank you so much. To all those folks, Jeff and company, you've done a great job. It reminds me a lot of all our sponsors, but in particular, Professional Door, in terms of like Suns taking it over and taking it to a different level. And we really appreciate the support. And hey, if you know anybody who wants to sponsor, wants to support the program, please let me know. It's always much appreciated. Please subscribe, like, and share our channel with everybody too. And I do want to thank everybody. I heard from a lot of people. And by the way, Prometheus, been talking some things going on in his personal life. This is why I really, we say this a lot, and it's not just a cliche. I really believe this is a family community here on BDST. We may not always agree about things, and many people have always tell me they may not agree, and that's great. You don't want to always agree. But what Morris said is true. Prometheus, we're thinking about you. Thanks for coming forward today. And, you can have a differing opinion and nobody cares, nobody's attacking each other. That's what I love about this chat community and what I get on the text line. Nobody's attacking anybody. From time to time I get some crap, some people who are just trying to cause some problems, and, you know immediately who they are and so forth and what they're trying to do. But I don't care about any of that. But so the people who show up here and chat every day and hit me up on the text line and watch the show, it is a community family here. And it's not just words that you say, or we're a family. No, I really feel that. And when you have things that happened with our baseball program and with Joey Rakuya and his family, it reminds you how you value every relationship that you have, whether it's your personal relationship as a father, as a husband, but your friends and the work community. It's all important. And what we have here is a family. What we have here is an embodiment of a group that we support each other. And this show would not function without your support. Now, we need a little more support to get to where we need to go. And I think we'll get there. But I want to thank everybody for your genuine commitment to helping the show and being part of it. Your input, I'd never take any of it for granted. It's one of the things I look forward to the most coming on every morning, is knowing the chat's going to be lit up and we're going to have great conversations and we're going to have great ideas and people. It's awesome. We need to get more people in chat. It's cool. It's cool. This show has made an impact on me, and I know it's made an impact, period. But I looked at it again this morning. We have 14 different countries that have subscribers and people that are staying subscribed. Now, they usually don't show up in chat, but they're staying here, right? They're staying on. It's cool. I never dreamed that would be the case. But thanks to everybody. And just know that nobody here is judging anybody. Nobody here is going to take anything. Like if you have something that you disagree with, nobody cares. I don't care about your politics. I don't care if you like the NBA and I don't like the NBA. I don't care if you like Virginia Tech's black uniform knowing I don't like it. It doesn't matter to me. Exactly, Wayne. We having discussions, if we can't have it here with what's going on in the world, like if you can't have a discussion without somebody hating you or threatening you or canceling you. Yeah, exactly. Just support one another. You don't have to agree. It's fine. It's fine. And I think the most important things, I think we agree on those. I think we do agree on the most moral, most important things that really mean something as humans and not necessarily regarding sports. But anywho, thank you again. And thanks to our guest today, Coach Elmo. That was awesome. Todd Grantham. And we'll see everybody tomorrow on the Tuesday edition. Take care, everybody. I hope we help make your Monday a little better. It's not always the greatest day. I know you made mine better. We'll see you tomorrow. Be good. Please subscribe, like, and share, and spread the word. See you.